call. I thank all of you for attending this session. Please forgive me for interrupting your ecstatic chanting. I would like to read the 10 offenses to the holy name which are to be avoided, written by Srila Vyasadeva in Padma Purana. 1. To blaspheme the devotees who have dedicated their life for propagating the holy name of the Lord. 2. To consider the name of demigods like Lord Shiva or Lord Brahma to be equal or to be independent of the name of Lord Vishnu. 3. To disobey the order of the spiritual master. 4. To blaspheme the Vedic scriptures or scriptures in pursuance to the Vedic version. 5. To consider the glories of chanting Hare Krishna to be an imagination. 6. To give some interpretation to the holy name of the Lord. 7. To commit sinful activities on the strength of the holy name. 8. To consider the chanting of Hare Krishna as one of the auspicious ritualistic activities which are offered in Vedas as fruitive activity Karma Kanda. 9. To instruct a faithless person about the glories of the holy name. 10. To not have a complete faith in chanting of the holy name and to maintain material attachment even after understanding so many instructions on this matter. It is also an offense to be inattentive while chanting. Every devotee who claims to be Vaishnava must guard against these offenses in order to achieve the desired success of Krishna Prema. Once again, I thank everyone for joining today's Bhakti Sanga conference call. May I know who all joined this morning? Hare Krishna, may I know who all joined this morning?
Hare Krishna Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to Srila Guru Maharaj. This is Sushmita from Canto.
Hare Krishna, Shushmita Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining and giving your recitation. Welcome to the call.
Hare Krishna, VinitaGandharvika, Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. My humble obeisances to you and all the devotees. This is Krishna Kumari Devidasi from Raleigh.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Kumari Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining and giving your recitation. Welcome to the call.
हरे कृष्ण VinitaGandharvika Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai, Pritidasi from Charlotte. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Priti Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you, Mataji, for joining in.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, VinitaGandharvika Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, Guru Maharaj, and the Gauranga, and all the assembled devotees on the call. This is Harita from Missouri City, Texas, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Harita Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you, Mataji, for joining and giving your recitation. We all pray for your mother for speedy recovery, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. श्री प्रभुपाद की जय और भक्त की जय. I'm calling from India. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Neelima Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining and giving your recitation. Welcome to the call.
Hare Krishna, VinitaGandharvika Mataji. My humble obeisances to you and all the assembled devotees. This is from Pavani Shama Devidasi from Baltimore. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Parambhavani Shama Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you, Mataji, for joining and giving your recitation. Welcome to the call.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Pranam all Srila Prabhupada. Mataji, this is Pitambara Das from Toronto, Canada. Thank you for all your services. All glories to you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Pitambara Prabhuji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you, Prabhuji, for joining every day and asking very nice questions. Thank you for your participation. Welcome to the call, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Is there anybody who would like to introduce themselves? Please go ahead.
Hare Krishna Mataji, this is Shruti from Canada. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna, Shruti Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you for joining in, Mataji. Are you joining for the first time, Mataji?
I've been joining since a week now, Mataji.
Oh, Hare Krishna. Welcome to the group, Mataji. Thank you for joining us. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, VinitaGandharvika Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Guru Maharaj. This is Shamaguri Dasi from Charlotte.
Hare Krishna, Shamagori Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining and giving your recitation, and all glories to your wonderful services to the group. Welcome to the call, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Is there anybody who would like to introduce themselves? Start the recording otherwise. Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome to Bhakti Sanga conference call. Today we are very fortunate to have His Grace Nanda Dulal Prabhuji to enlighten us on the topic of Shrimad Bhagavatam, 7th Canto, 10th chapter, verse number, 7th Canto, 10th chapter.
60 to 64.
Yeah. 60 to 64. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Usually I download the poster. Today I did not do so. Mataji, I think Prabhuji did not join, but we can finish the introduction. I would like to hand over the call to Param Bhavani Shama Mataji for the brief introduction. Over to you, Mataji.
Thank you so much, VinitaGandharvika Mataji. Mataji, am I visible or audible?
Both, yes, Mataji. You can continue.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to introduce today's speaker, His Holiness Nanda Dulal Prabhuji, who is a disciple of His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaja, and he came in Krishna consciousness when he was studying BTech. He completed his engineering in the year of 2000, and after that he was working for 5 years in Tech Mahindra, and while working he was rendering so many services in the temple. And in 2005 he joined Iskcon as a full-time devotee, and ever since he is contributing in so many various ways of activities for the Iskcon Chowpatty Temple Currently, he's the responsible person for Iskcon Youth Services programs at the KEM, which is the topmost college of Maharashtra and all over the India. Apart from that, he is also managing a satellite center at Varamati and taking care of congregational program at Shivaji Park, Mumbai. Apart from all his preaching activities in temple, he is also the COM body who is the top management body of Iskcon Chowpatty. Also, he is taking care of educational department, which includes VTA training, which known as Vaishnava Training Academy, and the BACE, the broadly known as Bhakti Vedanta Academy for Cultural and Educational Center. Hare Krishna. This was a brief introduction for today's speaker. Please accept that.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you so much for that introduction. I think Prabhuji joined the call. I thought I saw him.
Yes, he is there, Mataji.
Yeah, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Prabhu, for joining and giving your valuable time and association this morning and enlightening us on the topic of Shrimad Bhagavatam. I now hand over the call to you, Prabhu. After a long time, Prabhuji, seeing you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for allowing me to join your group. And it's a fortune for me to get an opportunity to spend some time with all of you and share some thoughts on the Srimad Bhagavatam. So you will show the verse on the screen before I speak?
Yes, Prabhuji. One of our organizers will do that for you.
Yes.
Hare Krishna.
I just offer my prayers. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So welcome all the devotees. We are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam today. This is Canto 7, chapter number 10 and shloka number 60 to 64. for our discussion today. We'll read text number 60. Siddhamrita rasa sprishta vajrasara mahaujasaha utthaस्थूर्मेघ dalana vaidyutta iva vahanaya. The translation: when the dead bodies of the demons came in touch with the nectar, their bodies became invincible to thunderbolts. Endowed with great strength, they got up like lightning penetrating the clouds. Text number 61. Vilokya bhagna sankalpam vimanaskam vrishadhvajam tadayam bhagavan Vishnus tatropayam akalpayat. Translation: seeing Lord Shiva very much aggrieved and disappointed, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Vishnu, considered how to stop this nuisance created by Maya Danav. Text number 62. Vassas chasit tada brahma swayam vishnur ayam higau pravishya tripuram kale rasa kupamritam papau. Translation: then Lord Brahma became a calf and Lord Vishnu a cow, and at noon they entered the residences and drank all the nectar in the well. Text number 63. Te sura hi api pashyanto न न्यषेधं विमोहितः तद्विज्ञाय महायोगी रसपालान् इदं जगौ स्मयन् विशोकः शोकार्तान् स्मरन् दैव गतिं च ताम्. Translation: the demons could see the calf and cow, but because of the illusion created by the energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the demons could not forbid them. The great mystic Maya Danav became aware that the calf and cow were drinking the nectar, and he could understand this to be the unseen power of providence. Thus he spoke to the demons, who were grievously lamenting. And last shloka for discussion today is text number 64. Devo suro naro nyo neshwaro astiha kashchana atmanonyasya vadishtam daivena pohitum dvayo. Translation: Maya Danav said, what has been destined by the Supreme Lord for oneself, for others, or for both oneself and others cannot be undone anywhere or by anyone, whether one be a demigod, a demon, a human being, or anyone else. Purport: the Supreme Lord is one, Krishna, the Vishnu Tattva. Krishna expands himself into Vishnu Tattva, personal expansions, Swamsha, who control everything. Maya Danav said, however I plan, you plan, or both of us plan, the Lord has planned what is to happen. No one's plan will be successful without His sanction. We may make our own various plans, but unless they are sanctioned by the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu, they will never be successful. Hundreds and millions of plans are made by all kinds of living entities, but without the sanction of the Supreme Being, they are all futile. So, the translations and the purports were given by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. We're very grateful to Prabhupada. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupaha Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमः ॐ विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन् इति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. So my heartfelt obeisances to all the devotees who join on this Bhakti Sanga Japa group, and I would really pray that I can speak something so that I can purify myself and my words can serve to inspire all of you to offer your hearts at the lotus feet of Shri Shri Gaur Nitai. With these prayers, I would like to speak a few words. So, in our own lives, we are used to making different kinds of plans. Plans is something that is not new to us. Whenever we make plans, sometimes they will go our way, sometimes they may not go our way. And usually, this question comes to our life: I planned my life in a particular way, but why is it not happening in that way? This question can come to all of us. We'll take a few examples and we'll try to discuss. What is a crisis? Crisis is basically a situation that will challenge our conceptions. Actually, if we see a crisis as a door that is opening our understanding to a higher understanding, to a higher perspective, then a crisis does not uh, hurt us so much. Actually, uh, just think about this. A small child who's born and who's currently lying on his back, and at one point of time, the parents will come, take care of the child, definitely from the birth, and at one point of time, they will come and try to make the child sit, or will try to make the child turn on his stomach. Usually, the child is first always on his back and then turn on the stomach. It's a major change for the child. And in one sense, if you and me could go into the mind of the child, turning from last 3 months on the back to turning on the stomach is actually a crisis, because it's a change of situation, it's a change of uh, how to handle things, how the whole world looks, in fact. When you're on your back, you can only look at the ceiling. And when you're on your stomach, you can only look at the bed on which you are, or probably on the floor. You cannot look at the ceiling. So, in one sense, we could say that the whole world turns topsy turvy for the small child. After some time, when he gets used to that, then the parents will try to make the child sit. And then, in the initial period, I have seen babies when they try to sit, sometimes they will fall behind on their back because they don't even have the concept of balance. So, I'm sure for the child who has never sat straight and suddenly he falls behind because of a lack of balance, even the sitting is a crisis. So for somebody who spent good amount of time on the back, turning and lying down on the stomach is a crisis. From that stage to sit is a crisis. From the stage of sitting to the stage of standing is definitely a crisis, because babies take a long amount of time for just standing and maintaining their balance. For a child who has learned to sit, the parents don't stop there, and the parents will make the child walk. And I can tell you for sure that's a big crisis for the child. And if for a child who has learned to walk, the parents somehow, they seem to be greedy or something. They don't stop there. They now want him to walk fast or slowly run. I'm sure that's also a crisis. So, in a matter of maybe what 1 year or something, we just now enumerated some 5 or 6 crises. And the very interesting thing is, all of us have gone through these crises. And why are we discussing this today? Because Maya Danav has come to a very nice conclusion about the Supreme Lord, and he's saying it does not matter what we plan, or what you plan, or what I individually plan. Finally, what matters is what is Krishna's plan for us. And the more we learn to accept Krishna's plan for us, the more the crisis actually becomes an opportunity to go to a higher level. Just like uh, in the discussion that we had just now, the child is comfortable in the original situation, but the more he kind of lets go, let himself go, and accepts the plan of the parents, his superiors, he realizes, yes, the changeover was painful. The changeover was kind of risky. But after I accepted the plan and after I kind of started working upon the plan of my mother and father, I got some higher level of access to this world. When I was on my back, I had less access. When I turned on my stomach, then I had more access. When I sat, I had more understanding of the world. When I stood up, I had more when I started walking, when I started running, I could understand the world better and I could also travel to those places. So the world is opening up for the child in the first stage when he's just lying on the back helplessly looking at the ceiling. Probably the ceiling is the complete definition of the world for the child. But as he goes higher and higher, the world opens up, is it not? Similarly, many of us, we also undergo crisis. And what is a crisis for somebody who's not a devotee? Crisis is a time to cry. Crisis is a time to search somebody in our phone book to put the blame on. Crisis is a time to most probably convince oneself that God does not exist. So we can come to some conclusions about ourselves, about people. Oh, they never helped me, or about the non existence of God. And the impetus for all this may be the crisis. But for a devotee, for somebody who is practicing Krishna consciousness, what is a crisis? Crisis is a situation in which the Supreme Lord, Pitaham Asya Jagato Mata Dhata Pitamaha. In the Gita, Krishna is saying, I am the mother of the living entity, I am the father of the living entity. So the mother and the father, Lord Krishna, is giving me 2 fingers and is allowing me to sit up, and from sitting up stand, and from stand walk, and from walk run, and so on. Yes, it was painful for me. It looked risky for me. I could have lost my balance, but now I realize that actually my mother, father Krishna was helping me grow, was expanding the horizons of my experience, and was expanding the horizons of my access. So many times we are stuck to our own conceptions of what is right and what is wrong. And actually, Krishna, the more sincere we are in our sadhana, in our relationship with Him, He will send the quote unquote crisis. It's basically an opportunity to grow. It's basically an opportunity to go to the next level and get wider access to the world, get wider access and information about this world and how this world can be utilized in serving our beloved Lord. What is the first chapter of the Gita? The first chapter of the Gita is also a crisis. Arjun is vehemently against accepting the situation. He is giving very, very nice reasons not to fight. Some of those reasons are very strong cultural reasons. What about the protection of women in society? Some of the reasons are very shastric, scriptural, that when you kill somebody, then you get sin, and next life you'll have to suffer. Some of those reasons are really very social reasons. One of them is offering pindadan to the forefathers. So if I don't offer pindadan to the forefathers, then how will I express my gratitude to my forefathers, right? So there are some logical reasons that actually I'm supposed to offer flowers to my teachers. I'm not supposed to offer arrows to my teachers. So some of them are cultural, some of them are social, some of them are really scriptural, some of them are really logical, right? And some of them are really like he's saying, it's not good. You know, the very people with whom I want to enjoy this world, if I win, I cannot kill them, and what will I enjoy? So very simple hearted reasons. And all of them, if you analyze them out of the context of the first chapter of the Gita, if anybody else tells you those reasons, actually you would be impressed. And all of us should understand that most people in times of crisis actually lose their brains. Most people in times of crisis really act crazy. It's very, very interesting to understand that in the time of a severe crisis, why am I calling this a crisis? Because it is mentioned in the end of the first chapter that Gandivam samsrate hastat. You know, he could not hold his Gandiva bow. Tvakchaiva paridahyate. And his tongue was drying up, and his whole body is burning. And in this situation, he could not hold his Gandiva bow, and he sat down on the chariot. So that mighty Arjun, who has fought many big wars, is not able to stand because of the situation. So it's definitely a crisis. The most interesting thing is when most people would crumble down under pressure of a crisis, Arjun actually is giving one of the most logical and very convincing arguments of how he should not take part in that ghastly warfare. So, hats off to Arjun for having such sharp intelligence and for having such deep conviction in the scriptures and having such deep gratitude for his ancestors that when the situation demands him to do something which is not really normal, he is actually able to come up with such nice reasons, even in times of severe pressure. It's very interesting. And let's use two words to understand this: right and wrong. So Arjun's answers were in the category of right. They were definitely not wrong. He's not speaking anything illogical. He's not speaking anything against the Vedas. He's not speaking anything against the principle of gratitude. So within two words, right and wrong, I would give the description right to Arjuna's reasons for not fighting. But what is Krishna's reply to this response? Krishna is saying, whatever you have said is, I am not really impressed by that, because the great souls, the wise souls, ashochan anvashochastvam, prajna vadamscha bhashase. Oh, you're talking like great learned person. Gatasun agatasunscha nanu shochanti panditaha. A wise person does not lament for the living, and a wise person does not lament for the dead. In one sense, although Arjun is speaking right and Arjun is not speaking wrong, it appears that Krishna is calling the right wrong. So, most probably, ordinary people of this world are not able to understand this. But if we see it from the explanation that we spoke in the beginning of the class, the parents wanted to kind of force the child into a crisis to lift the child to a higher perspective, to a higher situation, for expanding the access and information and understanding of the world. So, at an ordinary level, between right and wrong, we should all choose the right. And that's what Arjun did as a gentleman. But Krishna is saying, between right and wrong, right is right and wrong is wrong. But when you compare to my understanding of a greater right, I want you to go to a higher level of greater right, then your right becomes wrong. Between right and wrong, right is right and wrong is wrong. But between right and more right is right and right is wrong. In English, there is a saying, better is the highest enemy of good. How is better the highest enemy of good? Because sometimes when we choose good over bad, when we choose right over wrong, it works. It's nice. We help ourselves, we help others because it's right, it's nice, it's good. But because we taste the happiness of success by such endeavors, we tend to become attached to it. And Krishna is somebody who does not like his devotees to be attached to something when there is ample opportunity to rise to a higher level. So, in our own lives, like Arjun, we might have chosen right over wrong, and that's very nice. But Krishna wants us to go from right to more right, to a higher right. And to go to a higher right, we'll have to give up our conception of right. When in fact, our conception of right is really right. And we have asked so many people around us, is this not right? And everyone says, between right and wrong, this is right. But Krishna is saying, that's not the level at which I am speaking, and that's not the level at which I want my child to be. I want my child to rise to a higher level. So I want my child to not just choose right over wrong, but next step, I want my child to choose more right over right. And this is the test for all of us. If we are not deeply convinced about Krishna being the most merciful, the most loving, the most well-wishing friend, Suhrudam Sarvabhutanam Gyatva Mam Shantim Richati, we actually become calm and quiet when we understand Krishna is my most well-wishing friend. And if he's my most well-wishing friend, if he is introducing a crisis in my life, here is the whole world saying, you're right, Prabhu, you're right. And Krishna is forcing me into a situation where I'll have to give up my right. Be assured, Krishna is forcing you to give up your right only for one reason, not to make you do wrong, only for one reason, to make you do more right, a higher right. So basically, the first chapter of the Gita is a crisis introduced in the life of Arjun to push Arjun to a higher conception of right. And in our own lives, if we are not really convinced about Krishna's pushing us to a higher version of right, in one sense, we might know the 18th chapter of the Gita, but emotionally, we have not crossed the first chapter of the Gita. So, whatever happens in our life, if we are sincerely trying to serve Krishna, if we are sincerely trying to chant his holy names, and if there is a crisis in our life, be convinced about it. It's that Krishna wants us to go to a higher level of right. It's never for hurting us. So when there is a challenge in our lives, we can give three kinds of responses. One is the emotional response, which is the lowest response. That's what the whole world does. Playing the victim card. Oh, I am a victim and this person did this to me, and so on. And there are different ways to deal with this victim mentality. But you know what? When we become the victim, or at least when we think we are the victim, we become so low that it's very difficult to uplift ourselves. It's very difficult to help ourselves, and it's very difficult to help others. So Mahaprabhu is saying, Janma sarthaka kari kara para upakar. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is requesting us, you make your life successful, but don't stop there. Please share this fortune with others. Srila Prabhupada was asked, Srila Prabhupada, when we met you, we were sinful and we were engaged in so many other activities and we were not connected to Krishna. So how come we are here? Prabhupada said, you did not have any qualification. I gave you your qualification. And if you really want to please me, then always remember this. And how do you remember this? By two things. Accept what I have given to you and distribute it to others. Share this fortune with others. So this is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's desire, this is Srila Prabhupada's desire. And we want to please Prabhupada. We want to please Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So we want to help ourselves, we want to make ourselves strong, and we also want to share the formula to become strong with everyone else around us. But if we play victim card, we cannot help ourselves and we cannot help others. So it's not really a very nice state of consciousness. Some people who are really very intelligent, they do not play a victim card, but they give a political response. What is a political response? Identifying the postman who delivered the letter of the crisis to us and beating the postman, that why did you deliver this letter of crisis to me? So emotional response is definitely not good, and the political response is also not good because it contaminates the heart. Amogha is the son-in-law of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, and the 15th chapter of the Madhya Leela, it describes how Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya one day invited the Supreme Lord to his home for prasad. And Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, as he went inside the kitchen to get some dishes for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, his son-in-law Amogha came there. And Amogha, he began to speak ill about the Lord. And Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya immediately came with a stick to beat Amogha. And Amogha ran away. And Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya also ran behind him. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu definitely did not take anything against Amogha because he was related to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. Bhaktair Bhakta Janapriya. Lord Vishnu, 9th Canto, 4th chapter, shloka number 63. This is Lord Vishnu replying to Durvasa Rishi. So he says, Aham Bhakta Paradhino, Hi Aswatantra Iva Dvija, Sadhubir Grasta Hridayo, Bhaktair Bhakta Janapriya. So this last line, Bhaktair Bhakta Janapriya, means not only the devotees are dear to me, but the devotees of devotees are also dear to me. Those who are dear to devotees are also dear to me. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, he's your son-in-law. No way I have any ill feelings against him. But what happens is, 3 days later, Amogha is on the deathbed because he blasphemed the Supreme Lord and he's about to die. And Gopinath Acharya informs this to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu goes running and puts his hand on Amogha's heart. And he says, Sahaja Nirmala Brahmana Hridaya Matsarya Vasite ei Yogya Sthana Noe. He says, actually, you are born in a Brahman family, and it's very natural and normal that the heart of a Vaishnava, the heart of a Brahman, should be nirmal. It should be clean. And it's not a good place for envy to sit. Yogya Sthana Noe. So when somebody gives a political response, he goes into a revenge mentality. What is he doing? He's basically planning to hurt somebody. He's planning to damage somebody's reputation, probably, badmouth that person on the internet or something, even if physical harm is not possible. So both are not approved by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So the emotional response is not good. The political response is not good. If we are somewhere, even in the 2nd chapter of the Gita, emotionally, then we'll not give an emotional response, we'll not give a political response, we'll give a devotional response. And the devotional response is, what is Krishna's plan for me? What does Krishna want from me? If you dip a tea bag in hot water, then all the tea flavor just comes out. So that hot water kind of extracts the tea flavor from the tea bag. Similarly, when a nice devotee, not a big devotee, a nice devotee, when he is put into hot water, when he's put into a crisis situation, because he's a nice devotee, all the love and all the affection that he has for Krishna in his heart, it starts coming out. So it's very important for us to give a devotional response. What does my mother, father Krishna want to teach me? In the Chaitanya Bhagavat, there's a very nice incident that is mentioned. Haridas Thakur is in Fulyagram, and in Fulyagram, he is loudly chanting the holy names. And people are really impressed by this saintly behavior. But there is a Muslim Qazi there, and he's really angry on Haridas Thakur because he happens to be born in a Muslim family. So he goes and complains to the Qazi, the local governor, and he calls for Haridas Thakur. And there are some prisoners who have been put in the prison, and they hear that somebody like Haridas Thakur has been called by the local king, the governor. So because they get to hear that very soon Haridas Thakur will come to meet the king, they are happy. Why they're happy? Because through this arrangement, they feel mostly we will get darshan of Srila Haridas Thakur. Because they know when a Hindu saint comes to the sabha, the court of this Muslim person, what's going to happen? It's basically going to be some harm to him. So they request the jailkeeper, please make sure that we can at least receive darshan of Haridas Thakur. And there is some arrangement by which all these prisoners, they can come and actually receive darshan of Haridas Thakur. So Haridas Thakur is described. He has these hands that extend to his knees. He has a very beautiful face, and his eyes are like lotus petals, and his face is shining like the moon. And he comes and he looks at all the prisoners. The prisoners have some normal faith that when you take the darshan of a saintly person, you receive some blessings. There are some rewards that will come to your life through this. So as soon as they offer their pranams to Haridas Thakur is really very happy to see their submissive attitude and that gentle behavior that they have for him, considering him as a saint. What does Haridas Thakur say? Haridas Thakur in Bengali says, Thaka thaka achaha yena rupe. He says, Thaka thaka, please remain. Thaka thaka achaha yena rupe. The condition in which you are, please remain in that condition. But in the next line, Vrindavan Das Thakur is saying, Gupta Ashirvada Kori Hasena Kautuke. Gupta Ashirvada Kori Hasena Kautuke. He did a secret blessing. He gave a secret blessing to the prisoners and he began smiling in a very mischievous way. Now, these are the prisoners who expected Haridas Thakur's darshan to receive some piety so that they can come out of that crisis situation. They did not want to be in the prison, they wanted to be in the outside world. And what is Srila Haridas Thakur mentioning? Please remain in this situation always. Actually, their faces fell down. They really became very sad. And seeing their sad faces, they did not even have to speak, but the morose faces that they had, Srila Haridas Thakur understood. And Srila Haridas Thakur mentioned, please do not become morose. Please do not feel that I'm condemning you for a prolonged life in the prison. You know what I meant? What I meant is, you are here in the prison, and because you are in the prison, the ordinary people, the citizens of this land, they cannot have any envy for you, and they cannot cause any trouble to you because you're in the prison. When you're in the outside world, when you're successful, when you're doing good, somebody around you becomes envious of you. Somebody around you causes some harm to you, causes some trouble to you, and then we have to deal with all that. Srila Haridas Thakur is saying you are in the prison, there is no envy that anybody has for you. There's no trouble that anybody can cause for you. And just look at you, because you are in this prison, against your wishes, you have become so humble. And because you have become humble and you have a clean heart, there is no envy that people are throwing at you. So there is no need for you to throw envy at somebody. And all the prisoners are in deep trouble. So all the prisoners, they don't envy each other. They are just thinking, when will we go out? And in such a humble state, when there is no trouble to you, there is no envy against you, with a clean heart, you are able to offer respects to a saintly person and you are remembering Krishna. He said, what more is required in life than this? Have a clean heart. Nobody does anything wrong to you. You don't do anything wrong to anybody. You have respect for the Vaishnavas and you have eagerness to receive the grace of the Lord. Actually, when I mentioned to all of you that you please remain in this situation, what I meant is not that you remain in the prison situation. What I meant was that you remain in this humble situation of a clean heart, respect for the sadhus, and eagerness for Krishna. Never ever feel, O prisoners, that I can ever give a short sighted ashirvad, a short sighted blessing to anyone. I will never do that. I'm your well wisher. How can I ever give you a blessing that will condemn you for a prolonged life in the prison? So, in fact, I'll tell you something now. I bless all of you that in 2 or 3 days you will be freed from this prison. And by saying these words, he not only gave them an ashirvad that they will be physically free from the prison, what they wanted, but Srila Haridas Thakur also gave them a very high perspective that actually we should not envy anybody around us and behave in such a way that nobody envies us also. Actually, 12th chapter, shloka number 13 to 20, I think in shloka number 15 or 16, there is this point mentioned. I'm not able to recollect, but I remember in shloka number 14 of the 12th chapter or 15 of the 12th chapter, it is mentioned that when we don't cause envy to somebody else, we are not envious of somebody else, and when somebody cannot become envious of us because of our behavior, that is my devotee. So we can later check it out. So Haridas Thakur, he also spoke something in a crisis situation that is basically pushing the prisoners to go to a higher level of perspective. So that's what Krishna is doing in the first chapter of the Gita. That's what Haridas Thakur is trying to teach the prisoners. And that's what Vidur, when he is driven out of the palace, the third canto of the Bhagavatam describes that one day Vidur, as he was advising Dhritarashtra, Duryodhan overheard it. And Duryodhan came and said, drive away the son of a kept mistress. These are Prabhupada's words in the translation. Leave only his breath with him. Everything else that belongs to Vidura, snatch it away. He's a traitor. He's our family member and he's working against us. A traitor actually should be killed, but because he's a family member, we are not killing him, but take away everything for him. Just give his breath with him. Can you imagine somebody who's been a well-wisher of the, the royal family for years and years and always advising in the interest of Dhritarashtra? And who is Vidur? Vidur is originally Yamaraj. Yamaraj is in charge of punishing the whole universe. When anyone does anything wrong, the punishment is decided by Yamaraj. Can you imagine the influence of Yamaraj? Can you imagine the adhikar, the power of Yamaraj to punish somebody? There's nobody higher than Yamaraj. If Yamaraj decides somebody to be beaten, nobody can stop him. He has to be beaten. that Yamraj, in the position of Vidur, is requesting Dhritarashtra to never ever cross the boundary of dharma. But Dhritarashtra has its own, situation, and he's not able to follow. And the shock of Vidur's life is his nephew is now saying that leave him only with his breath. If the Duryodhana would have known he's speaking like this to Yamaraj, can you imagine what situation would have happened to Duryodhana? But anyways, Vidur. So Vidur, after spending one entire lifetime in trying to convert the heart of the king of Kuruvansh, because Krishna in the Gita has said, Yad Yad Acharati Shreshthas Tattad Eve Itarojana. The Shrestha person, the great person of a land, whatever acts he does, the common men follow. So Vidur is thinking, how will I change the whole kingdom? Let me change the king. And my focus is only on the king. Let me change the king's consciousness. And if the Shrestha in the kingdom changes, the king changes, then everything else will change. So he's focusing on the king, but it's not happening. And after a lifetime of trying to change the king by giving the right understanding, and he's Yamraj, he has a lot of adhikar, he has a lot of power. One day, an ordinary Jivatma just sacks him, just tells him, leave this place. What would be the situation of Vidur? But what does Vidur do? Vidur sees that situation as Krishna giving me an opportunity to come out of this highly political palace. All my life, I was surrounded on all sides by politics. He did this to him, and she did that to her, and all that. This is my opportunity to let go of all my memories of politics and just travel from one holy place to another holy place and remember Krishna more, chant Krishna's holy names more, if possible, share my Krishna consciousness with others. In one of those, purports where it is mentioned that Vidur was driven away, Prabhupada writes, in this case, the external energy of the Lord acted as the internal energy on Vidur. Actually, this crisis is seeming as if it's the action of external energy of the Lord. Suddenly everything is gone. But Prabhupada mentions, because Vidur is a sincere devotee of Krishna, although everyone felt this is how a traitor should be punished, and Duryodhana was really very happy to drive away Vidur from his kingdom. But Vidur internally was thinking, how merciful is Krishna that I don't have to be caught up in this petty talk, this 2 paisa talk. What did you do for me and what did I do for you and all that? I can just go and Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu all my 100 hours, 24 hours, 100%. So this is what, Vidur also thought. So Vidur, Haridas Thakur, Lord Krishna, they are teaching us that this is how we pray to Krishna, that please give me this consciousness, please give me this perspective. One time in India, near Pune, there is a place called Dehu, and Dehu is the village of Tukaram Maharaj. Tukaram Maharaj is the great saint of Maharashtra. And there is one mountain called Bhamachandra Dongar. Bhamachandra Dongar is where for 15 days Tukaram Maharaj was sitting all alone. And when there was a crisis in his life, he went there and he just meditated there for 15 days. Nobody knew where he is. And it is said that he got a lot of revelations when he was there all alone. He was meditating on Lord Krishna. So one time we went on a yatra there with some youth, and you have to climb the mountain for that. So when you are climbing, how far away is the horizon from you? When you are on plain land, the horizon is some kilometers, right? And when you are climbing a mountain, the wall of the mountain is there in front of you. So how far is the horizon when you are climbing a mountain? it could be maximum a few meters, just some distance, and then there is the wall of the mountain, or the wall of the mountain could be right there in your face. So as we were climbing, I realized that although the road to go up seemed very simple, but many times what happened is I would choose a path and I would land up at a dead end. There was no way to go up. And sometimes I had to come back. And then I would choose the path which did not look like a logical path to go up. There was some steep road or something like that. And I felt this is not the way to go up. Let me go this way. But that would end up in a dead end. And then this path that would go up little steep, somehow I would go. And in this way, I actually went to the top. And then at one point of time, I had just no clue whether to turn left or right, how to go up, because everything looked very, very clueless, basically. So that time I looked up. And when I looked up, there was one more devotee who had managed to reach up. And he told me, go to your left. And I was thinking, on my left, it looks very difficult. I don't think this is the right way. And I was asking him, are you sure that I should not go on my right? He said, yes, Prabhu, please go on the left. I went to the left. Then he said, keep walking. And it was really, really very confusing for me. And then it turned out that a few steps from that point was a very nice way to go up. So at my own level where I was standing, I could not understand the way to go up. But if somebody is already up there, then there's a bird's eye view, as they say. And he can say, even though you don't see whether to go left or right, but I'm telling you to go left or right. So you go left. And in that way, I could actually reach on the top. So just like that, in our life also, sometimes we are at a particular uh, point from where we have a particular perspective of our life. And sometimes it all appears to be confusing. It all appears to be really hazy. And we are completely clueless. And at that time, all we have to do is we can give an emotional response, we can give a political response, or we can give a devotional response and ask somebody who is at a higher level of consciousness, what should I do in such a situation? And that person will say, do this, do this, do this. And I can assure you, no sincere devotee will ever ask us to give an emotional response, the victim card, or the political response, the revenge card. They'll always request us that we should chant Hare Krishna, and yes, some practical tips will also be given about how to deal with it. So actually, the Supreme Lord has a higher perspective, and the representatives of the Supreme Lord, they have a higher perspective. And when we take shelter of the spiritual master, we take shelter of Srila Prabhupada's Vani, we take shelter of the Supreme Lord's instructions, then things can actually become very clear. Actually, Krishna's plans are really very inconceivable. If we read about Shripad Madhavendra Puri, Madhavendra Puri is, from the spiritual world, he is a desire tree in the spiritual world. And under that desire tree in the spiritual world, Radha and Krishna, they meet and they perform many intimate pastimes. And he gets to serve Radha and Krishna in that way. That Madhavendra Puri, who is a desire tree, what's a desire tree? Desire tree is he fulfills everyone's desires. That desire tree, when he came to the material world, he was Madhavendra Puri. In his last days, what was the situation of Madhavendra Puri? Madhavendra Puri was so much dependent on receiving help from his disciples to clean his feces and urine. So the Chaitanya Charitamrita, when it talks about Ramachandra Puri, Antyalila, it mentions that what is the history of Ramachandra Puri? Ramachandra Puri and Ishwara Puri both were god brothers and disciples of Shripad Madhavendra Puri. And Madhavendra Puri in his last days, externally it appears that he is very helpless and he's just lying on a bed And in those days, he would call out, Ai deen dayardra nath hai, Mathura nath hai, Kadavalokya se. Oh Krishna, when will you become visible to my eyes? In a feeling of separation, Madhavendra Puri would cry out, remembering Krishna. In that situation, two of his disciples, they behaved very differently with him. Ramchandra Puri went to Madhavendra Puri and said, why are you crying out like this? Don't you know that the the Brahman is all pervading? And in one sense, you can feel Krishna everywhere. So, what is there to lament? What is there to cry? Why are you so much in this lamenting mood? And Ishwara Puri, he never ever tried to instruct his spiritual master. He was busy serving by cleaning the situation of Madhavendra Puri, and he would chant some bhajans and kirtans, and he would chant some stories of Krishna to remind Madhavendra Puri of Krishna, because Madhavendra Puri was thinking, oh, when will I get the darshan of Krishna? And then Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami mentions Ramachandra Puri, who tried to instruct his spiritual master, he was cursed by Madhavendra Puri. Oh, what a misfortune that I have a disciple like this. And not understanding my situation, he's trying to instruct me that why don't you meditate on the Brahma Jyoti? And receiving the curse of his own spiritual master, Ramachandra Puri became a Nindak. Nindak means he's constantly engaged in blaspheming everyone. He will not do Krishna Kirtan, he will do Ninda Kirtan, always finding the faults of all the devotees, including Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself. And because Ishwar Puri was humbly serving his spiritual master in whatever way was possible, he received a benediction from the same Madhavendra Puri, Krishne Matir Astu. May you always remember Krishna. And receiving this benediction from his spiritual master Madhavendra Puri, this Ishwar Puri became the most fortunate spiritual master to get a disciple of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, from one perspective, Madhavendra Puri is in a crisis that personality who in Golok Vrindavan is capable of fulfilling all his desires in the material world when he comes in his Leela, he is crying out the holy name of the Lord and expressing his mood of separation from the Lord. He appears to be helpless. Why did Krishna put him in this crisis situation? Well, the answer is when Krishna put his pure devotee in that crisis situation, you and me got to learn some lessons. We got to learn that judging spiritual master by the external situation can be really harmful to us, and it can sometimes put a foolish disciple in a situation where he wants to instruct his spiritual master, and that can be really fatal for the disciple. And we got to learn how, no matter what is the situation of the spiritual master, when we are humbly serving the spiritual master, through him comes the Ashirvad to remember Krishna always. This lesson would not have come to us if Madhavendra Puri would not be in that crisis situation. So, for you and me to receive such an important lesson, it's important that a very pure, dear devotee of Sri Krishna, Madhavendra Puripad, undergoes a crisis. So sometimes Krishna gives a crisis to us, sometimes Krishna gives a crisis to a pure devotee so that you and me can understand what is the truth. Yesterday, His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj, he spoke a class, and this class was at Nasik. Nasik is the place where Shurpanakha's nose was cut. So he was speaking a class on the Ramayana, and he spoke a very nice point. At the end of the whole story, at the end of the Ramayana war also, when Lord Ram is trying to kill Ravan, every time he would cut off the head of Ravan, another head would come up. And this happened for hundreds of times. And Ram is thinking what to do. In that situation, Agastya Rishi, he comes and appears in the sky. And Agastya Rishi tells Lord Ram at that point of time, now I will give you a very special mantra called Aditya Hridaya Mantra. This is basically the blessings of Lord Vishnu coming through the personality of the sun god Aditya. And if you chant this mantra, then all the tiredness that you have, all the fatigue that you have will go away. And he had also given a bow and 2 quivers of arrows when Lord Ramchandra was in Kishkinda previously, in Panchavati previously. So Agastya Rishi comes there at the right moment and speaks the Aditya Hridaya mantra to Lord Ram, and he reminds him to use the bow and the arrows that he had given. And Lord Ramchandra chants that mantra, he takes that arrow, he puts it on the bow, and he shoots it, and that's how Ravan is finally killed. After this, His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj mentioned, this is very significant for all of us to understand that Lord Ramchandra is telling us that Ravan can be killed by the blessings of his devotees. Actually, Ram killed Ravan, but the method by which he killed Ravan was given by Agastya Rishi. So His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj was mentioning, in our heart also, the personification of lust, Ravan, the lust stays in our heart. Greed, anger stays in our heart. And we want to kill the Ravan in our heart. But to kill the Ravan in the heart, the Supreme Lord is expressing that it can happen only by the blessings of his pure devotees. And then Maharaj was mentioning that when we take shelter of the great souls, when we take shelter of the spiritual master, then the Supreme Lord actually kills the Ravan. Similarly, we are chanting the holy names, we are chanting Hare Krishna, and sometimes a thought can come to our mind. I'm chanting Hare Krishna for the last 10 years. I'm chanting Hare Krishna for the last 20 years. I don't see much effect in my heart. So the Harinam is non-different from Ram, and the Ravan in our heart is also there. Why is the Ram in our heart not killing the Ravan in our heart? The Harinam, why is it not killing the Ravan in the heart? Because probably we are not taking enough shelter of the devotees of that same Lord Ram. So we can all pray to the pure devotees in our life, our spiritual master, our Shiksha Guru, Srila Prabhupada, Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. No. If we are attracted to one of our acharyas, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, and definitely to Lord Nityanand, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And in this way, when we actually take shelter of the great souls, then Lord Ram will definitely kill the Ravan in our heart. So sometimes we can also be in a crisis situation. Why is Harinam not working in my case? I'm doing sadhana, but why is it not working in my case? So we have to really take shelter of the instructions of the pure devotees of the Lord. And in this way, we can actually solve the original crisis. Lust, anger, greed, envy, pride, illusion in our heart can be eliminated. But we always need to see this crisis not as a moment to cry, not as a situation that has been sent by Krishna in my life to trouble me, to kind of torture me, but actually Krishna has sent, the mother and father Krishna have sent this crisis in my life to give their 2 fingers to me and help me stand up, walk, run, and get greater access to the spiritual world. So in this way, Krishna's plans will always work. The materialists reject Krishna's plans. The transcendentalists fake. They are also rejecting Krishna's plans, but they fake that they are following Krishna's plans. But the devotees of the Lord, they keep following the instructions of the pure devotees in their life. And by following the instructions of the pure devotees in their life, they keep following the plans of the Lord, which are anyways irreversible. The will of the Lord is irreversible. One of the Shakti of the Lord is Satya Sankalpa Shakti. Satya Sankalpa Shakti means if the Lord wishes something, it has to happen. So anyway, the Lord wants certain things to happen in this world. Currently in Kali Yuga, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wants Prema Bhakti to be spread all over the world. That's what Lord Chaitanya wants. So that is Lord Chaitanya's plan, and it will be carried out. But what we can do is we can make tiny plans in our own lives. We make tiny plans, and we offer our tiny plans at the lotus feet of the plan of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and request Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to use our small intelligence, our small tiny plans to fulfill his greater plan of spreading the holy names to every town and village of this world. And in this way, we can use our small tendency to plan to fulfill the plan of the Lord. It's not that we have to give up our planning tendency. No, the Lord wants us to plan, but plan to fulfill the plan of the Lord. We should not plan to not follow the plan of the Lord. So thank you so much. I'll stop here. I'm grateful to all of you for giving me a chance to speak. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki Jai. Jai Nitai Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Dandavat Pranam, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhu.
Dandavat Pranam.
Thank you, Prabhu. Very beautiful class. Such a short class, and you gave so many examples from Vidur to Haridas Thakur to Arjuna to Tukaram ji to Madhavendra Puri, and of course, Radhanath Swami Maharaj story was very nice, Prabhu, through Lord Ram and Agastya Muni. Very, very beautiful class, Prabhu. So many examples in such a short time. Yeah, Prabhuji. Certainly, we should just try to, do bhajan, and then everything will come. Paar karenge naiya, bhajo Krishna kanaiya. Prabhuji, I will ask, Prabhuji, you have a few minutes if somebody has any question or answer. Thank you. Oh,
Yes, Prabhu.
not answer, but question. Answer you will give. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. If anybody has any question or any reflection, please raise your hand or unmute yourself, dear devotees. I think everybody can unmute.
Yeah, I would love to hear from any one of you. Maybe you have something to share on this point about trying to fit our plan into the plan of the Lord.
Yes, Prabhu. It's I think it takes time. I think it takes so much of bhakti. I think, Prabhu. Many time we think that as you said in the class too, we are chanting from so many time and we are doing bhajan from so long time. But as you were mentioning, you were giving example at a certain point. You gave example of that tea bag. You gave example. When it is boiled, only then the color of the tea comes, and you see what prema we have for Krishna. So we might go through difficulties. But Prabhu, I have realized one thing: when we go through difficulties, we somehow realize that this is also mercy of Krishna only. Without his mercy, that difficulty was not there. And if we would not have read books of Srila Prabhupada, and we would not have chanted our 16 rounds from whatever time we are chanting, I don't think it matters much. Of course, there are greater devotees, Mahajano Yena Gatha Sapanta is always there. But I think that chanting, that listening of Srila Prabhupada's words give us actually that courage that this difficulty is nothing but mercy of Krishna. Because sometimes things happen to people, even devotees, when they are even in a smaller age. So at that point, you think, okay, Baba, in this lifetime, maybe that she or he devotee is only 10 years or 12 years old, but he got a problem. He got a, bodily issue or something like that. So at that age, you can understand that he is such a, maybe at the age of 40 like me, I have done so many wrong things in before 35, or when in 2019 only I started reading Srila Prabhupada's book, or I started chanting. But before that, Prabhu, all the rules were broken openly, and maybe even we were proud of breaking those 4 rules that we At initiation time, we say, okay, I'll follow those 4 rules. So a dukh coming into my life at 42, I can understand, okay, before 35, I did this. Now it is coming back to me, as simple as that. But when something happens to a 7, 8 years, 10 years child, then we understand only that this is past karma. It is not this life, because he has not done anything to anyone yet. So all these realization, or I won't say realization, I don't have no realization, Prabhu, but all these things, one only can realize if he has faith in Guru and Shastras and Sadhu. Other than that, Prabhu will be lost, will be actually, I think, will be cursing God's will, and maybe doing more damage to the society or to ourselves too. But only because of Srila Prabhupada, only because of a little bit of chanting that we do, we realize that this is what it is, and we go ahead with that. It's as simple, Prabhu. Sorry, Prabhu, if I said something. Just you asked me to add a couple of words, so I added a couple of words. Prabhuji, I see Param Pabani Mataji is there. She has her hand raised. Maybe she wants to add something. Hare Krishna, Param Pabani Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you so much. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you so much for very beautiful lecture, Prabhuji. It's so inspiring. Prabhuji, I have a question that, as you mentioned, when we are in the reversals, we should be taking more shelter to Krishna. That gist I got. So, Prabhuji, how we can prepare our mind from now, for the preparation, so that we can think of that when the reversal comes, like as you give the example of Madhavendra Puri during his last days, he was thinking about Krishna only. Like how we can, when we are in a comfort zone, what should we pray, and what should our consciousness, so that when reversal come, we can be ready to follow what you said, Prabhuji.
Thank you for raising this very nice point, that how to prepare. That's a very nice application-based perspective or a question from your side. Material life, Krishna is describing in the Gita in 2 words, Dukkhalayam Ashashvatam, saying it's a home of misery and it is temporary. So as you rightly pointed out, even if right now nothing is going wrong, we should be anticipating. If things are going smooth in our life, we don't become complacent. A devotee does not become complacent. Sab kuch acha chal raha hai. Everything is going good. He knows that trouble is around the corner. Just here, waiting to take the turn and enter my life. So we don't become extra happy in happiness, and we don't become more than morose in a difficult situation. Why? Because in both situations, we know both situations are temporary. The happiness is not going to last long, and the difficult situation is not going to last long. So first thing is, we prepare ourselves to understand the ever-changing nature of this world. This world is, the only thing permanent in life is change. So that's the first fundamental understanding that all of us should have. Even if it is unhappiness, it won't last long. And even if it is happiness, it won't last long. On the basis of this, wherever we are, whatever situation we are, am I in a happy situation right now? I should not get swayed away by that happy situation. Let me utilize my good health. Let me utilize my good financial situation. Let me utilize whatever nice things that I have to come closer to the pure souls. Why pure souls? Because in one sense, we need to have some examples in life. The books are there to give us information. And yes, to some extent, the books also give us some inspiration. But a real life living example, the inspiration that we get from a real life person, It does not have any alternative. So we might read the Bhagavatam and we might be convinced about Krishna consciousness, but till the time we see somebody who is actually Krishna conscious, we are not having that deep conviction that Krishna consciousness works. So the advantage of great souls is whether they are happy externally or whether they are unhappy externally, they are basically deeply rooted in the relationship with Krishna. So if great soul has surrendered his or her life to Krishna, you can be assured when everyone is giggling and laughing and smiling and all, that person will chant the rounds. And when everyone is crying tears and everyone is in deep situation of feeling a lot of pain, this person will be chanting. Why? Because that person has spent a lot of time serving Krishna and has deep realizations about Krishna. So if we want to prepare more than reading books which give information, we should spend time with somebody who is sincerely practicing Krishna consciousness and who's been through the thicks and the thins of life. We always have some devotees around, and we know that they have gone through their own crisis, but they never deviated from the path. They never gave up chanting Hare Krishna. These devotees are like strong pillars that we need to hold on when there is a hurricane going around. In the hurricane, everything is being thrown in the sky. The dry leaves are going in the sky, and sometimes some light objects are going in the sky. And sometimes when the hurricane is really strong, sometimes some small cars are also going into the sky. Everything is going into the sky. The roof of the homes is going into the sky. At that time, if we have one very strong pillar and we just embrace that pillar, the hurricane won't touch us. It can't touch us. So, if we can really focus on some pillar like devotees, if they are not physically present, we can read their biographies. If they are physically present, try to hear their Vani. If possible, associate with them personally. What happens is, 11th Canto, chapter number 3, I think shloka number 22. Yeah, but chapter number 3 of 11th Canto is liberation from illusory energy. So if you have, you could really open it. So liberation from illusory energy, shloka number 22, I think it is Smarantas smarayantas chaha mitho agha ogham haram harim bhaktya sanjataya bhaktya. Is it that shloka, Mataji? 22, is it that Smarantas smarayantas cha? You're on mute.
Yeah, noted down the number.
Oh, okay. So rather than noting down the number, note down this Smarantas smarayantas cha mitha agha ogham haram harim. What it means is, when devotees come together, they remember Krishna and they make others remember Krishna. When two devotees, they do smaran and they do smaran. Smaran means you make other remember Krishna. And when Krishna sees two devotees doing smarantas, smarayantas cha, then what Krishna does is, agha ogha haram harim. Agha means papa and ogha means a flood of papa. So if somebody has seen a flood of sins, how can we deal with a flood of sins? We cannot do anything with the flood of sins. But Hari, the Supreme Lord, becomes happy when two devotees are into smarantas, smarayantascha, and he takes care of the flood of sins in our life. And then third line of the shloka says, bhaktya sanjataya bhaktya. Bhakti, yeah. So our devotee, yeah, Balabhadra Kripa Prabhu has put on it is 31. It's not 22, it is 31. So the third line says Bhaktya Sanjataya Bhaktya. Bhaktya Sanjataya Bhaktya means that only Bhakti can give rise to Bhakti. So when we associate with some senior devotees who have really been through the ups and downs of life and they have never ever given up their faith, the deep conviction in their heart gets transferred to us. And then even if things are going very good right now, very soon the hurricane is going to come. Very soon the earthquake is going to come. Very soon the tsunami is going to come. It won't last long, right? The tsunami also does not last long. The hurricane also does not last long. And the time interval between two tsunamis and two hurricanes also does not last. It's an ever-changing world. But the only reality, the only uh, permanent reality is, the Supreme Lord and our relationship with the Supreme Lord. Bhagavan is eternal, Bhakta is eternal, and the relationship between them, Bhakti, is eternal. So, my 2 points for preparation for the tough times ahead is, first is we should always remember nothing is permanent. And second is spend time with devotees who have been through the ups and downs of life and actually learn from them how to be always focusing on the essence and never get diverted by the details. Yeah, people will keep speaking thousand things, and there will always be some rumors going around, and the gossip is always going around, right? We don't focus on the gossip, we don't focus on the rumors, we focus on what is Krishna saying, what is Prabhupada saying, what is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, what is Haridas Thakur saying. So that is something that has not changed. All these books, engineering books, medical books, architecture books, all these textbooks, they undergo revision. There's an edition 1, there's an edition 2. Sometimes some books are 21st edition, 54th edition. The Gita, there's no editions. Something that was spoken 5,000 years ago, even today, there's no revision. What has been spoken by the Lord? There's no edition. In 2 years, the new edition comes. So many textbooks, they have to keep revising it. And Krishna's textbook, there is no revision. It's as applicable in that time when people would move on chariots. It is as applicable at that time as today when people are flying in jets. Such a radical change in the external world, the way people talk on cell phones. There were no cell phones in Arjun's time. So externally, the world has changed so much. But what Krishna spoke has not undergone a single revision of a single letter. I think that is something that we need to focus on, and that conviction will come from devotees who have done that. So I would recommend these 2 points. Thank you, Balabhadra Kripa Prabhu, for quickly sending us that shloka. Thank you so much. And thank you, Mataji, for asking this very nice question. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for wonderfully giving some succinct answer. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. So we'll stop here, Balabhadra Kripa Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu, as you wish. Yes, Prabhu. Yes. Thank you.
Prabhu. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai, Jai Nitai Gaur Prema.
Vancha kalaptaru vaishya kripa sindhu cha
Patitanam Pavanebhyo
Namo
Ananta
Namaha.
Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai,
Jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Granthraj Shrimad Bhagavatam ki jai,
Jai.
Nanda Dulal Das Prabhu ki
Jai Srila
jai,
Prabhupada ki
Jai.
Tagore Premanand
Jai.
Hari Hari Bol.
Hari Hari Bol.
Gaur
Gauranga.